Here we go. Alan Hughes will bring the players on. The audience is set. This could be an absolute classic.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the players. And first we welcome the toughest player in the game to beat, and he's battled his way into his second world final in typical Ebdon fashion, and no one can deny this brilliant match player the chance to win his first world title. Ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome into the Embassy World Final the very talented Peter Ebdon. And ladies and gentlemen, his legendary opponent going for an 8th world crown, whose record-breaking career has seen him capture all the major titles over and over again, and Hendo has played out of his skin to reach yet another world final. Ladies and gentlemen, the brilliant Embassy World Champion. Will you welcome, please, Stephen Hendry.
Well, it's always a very special atmosphere. Will it be Hendry VIII? Will it be Peter the Great? In the commentary box, good afternoon to Clive Everton and John Virgo.
Thank you, Ray. Good afternoon, everyone. First session of 4 in the final of the Embassy World Championship. And there have been times when that opening session has been extremely important. I remember 1991, when John Parrott won all 7 frames in that session against Jimmy White, and that 7 frames was the margin at the end. Conversely, with 4 sessions, there is time to get over a catastrophic start.
First frame, Peter Ebdon to break.
As Dennis Taylor did after dropping the first 7 frames against Steve Davis in 1985.
A lot of people have been asking me, do I think that that nail biter that Peter Ebdon won last night against Matthew Stevens was taking a lot out of him? I don't think it will. I think at 16-14 down, he didn't think he'd be in this final. Everything from now on is a bonus.
Much too thick on that initial safety. First chance for Ebdon.
Yes, I suppose he was a bit concerned about the red in the middle of the table, but that was an elementary safety shot gone wrong.
One.
And the black's available. So it's a nice chance to get your hand on the table, settle in.
Eight. 9.
Like you, John, I think that Ebdon is relatively fresh. Unlike when he was in the final here 6 years ago. When he had 3 very tight matches, 13-12 against Jimmy White, 13-10
16
over Steve Davis, and 16-14 over Ronnie O'Sullivan in the semi-finals, and was so done in from all that that he really didn't do himself justice against Stephen Hendry in that final. But although he did have a very tough match last night, his progress otherwise has been relatively comfortable.
Yes, and as I said, I think last night he certainly must have thought he was beaten. And he looked beaten. And then he was given an opportunity and raised his game. And that will give him good memories to bring in this match. He looks very relaxed, he looks very confident. I know it's the best of 35 frames, but it's the final of the World Championship, and so far he's handling the nerves very nicely, thank you.
All this from Hendry's miss-hit safety.
Well, given this plenty of thought, there's one loose red he could play for up near the blue, but I think he may take this opportunity to cannon into something here. Well, cannon into that red, I assume that the red just below the pink will go in the left centre.
38.
There you see it, inch perfect.
$39. 45. 46.
Well, for the first time, he's run slightly out of position. He shouldn't cause a problem. He's got to pot this blue and get in between yellow and brown. That's okay. It obviously wasn't made that difficult because he had the red
51.
to the right centre. But this is the last of the easy red, so he needs a good position, probably on the black off this red.
$52.
He's on the black. He's also got a choice of the pink. There's one red on the right-hand side of the table. There's one to the left of the pink he could play on. And he's obviously just found room for it.
58.
So already within sight of clinching the opening frame.
$59.
Well, I think that safety shot from Stephen, and only one mistake could have cost him that. Pots this pink, plays the run through, knocks the red into play, he'll win the frame. But he's not. I don't think he's on a red.
65.
I thought he'd have played it with a little bit more pace than that. He obviously thought he could just nudge a couple out. He's 65 points in front, but there's still a possible 75 remaining.
Yes, there were 5 reds in that cluster, so a little bit more pace would have been preferable to make sure that he was on something. If there'd been only 3, then a gentler shot would almost certainly have been okay.
Peter Ebdon, 65. Tricky ball.
Touching ball has been given by referee John Williams. Now, does Stephen try to get the cue ball tight on the baulk cushion, or does he try to get the snooker behind the yellow? He's trying to get the snooker behind the yellow. Good line, but not enough pace. A snooker there would have really put Peter Ebdon in trouble and may have given Stephen a chance. He'd be disappointed there.
Hendry's failure to lay the snooker gave Ebdon a chance to the right corner, albeit a difficult one. Sensibly, he hedged his bets by making sure he got the cue ball back towards the baulk line.
Well, Peter Ebdon, 7.
Well, that will be the end of the frame now. Stephen walks back to his chair. He didn't have a lot of option but to take that on. Peter Ebdon just needs this red now.
1.
Pretty impressive, this first frame, Peter Ebdon.
Not put a serious foot wrong. One slight positional miscalculation, but that's about it.
Seven.
So we can be sure that Abdon has won the first of a possible 35 frames, split into 3 sessions of 8 and a final session of 11.
Eight. $15.
Ebdon tried to develop that red, but it's of only academic interest with the frame already won.
Yes, as soon as he misses, Stephen will concede. I don't think Stephen will bother coming back to the table with a bit of practice. He's not had many shots in this frame. Obviously he's been on the practice table for a few hours this morning. But Peter Ebdon's definitely shown him, if you make a bad
22.
positional mistake, leave me in amongst the balls, I'm going to score heavy.
Yes, 65 from his first
Peter
chance.
Ebdon, 22, and the frame.
Hendry fails to score in the opening frame. Ebdon leads by a frame to 0.
8 years of age and sporting mad, and he'd be absolutely delighted to tell his pals he's been on the television.
And back to the commentators.
Well, what's the point of your dad working for the BBC if he can't get you a decent seat? It's magic for them, isn't it, at that age? The press box is just beneath the commentary box. And a great view of the action.
Yeah, I suppose the only thing missing for Josh, that his father's not in the final.
Yes, but I bet he's told him about the one that he was in. Well, 2 actually. I think he would have told him about the one he won, and perhaps not quite so much about the one he lost, 18-3 to Steve Davis in 1989.
Yes, I suppose the same could be said of Peter Ebdon, although he got to the final of this championship one year. He got a drubbing really from Stephen Hendry. So this is Peter's chance to put that record straight. That's an incentive in itself.
Well, snooker players' careers at top level are shorter than they used to be, and you don't get many realistic chances to win the game's most valuable prize, both financially and in prestige.
Good safety shot from Peter. He's covered the red near the left centre by the yellow, which was the important thing. It puts a little bit of pressure now on this safety shot from Stephen. One bad safety shot cost him the last frame, really. So there's pressure on this.
Foul.
Wow.
Peter Ebdon, 4.
Would have been perfectly safe if he'd left the cue ball down in the left-hand corner, but it's certainly not perfectly safe from the D.
Yes, that's what he played, to try and leave this cue ball in the jaws or in the vicinity of the corner pocket. Well, it was a good billiard shot in the end. And a nice easy starter for Peter Ebdon. He's not having to work too hard for his chances.
One.
Ideal on the black, really. He can just nudge the red away that's just above the black, clear the black spot area. Probably run through that red a little bit straighter than he would
8.
like. But he's still got a red to the left centre. got one to the left corner, but he wouldn't be guaranteed position, and he couldn't get on the black. So the one to the left centre may have to run up for the blue.
Nine.
Good position, and a perfect angle on the blue. He's just got to run down here. He'd probably be looking to play for the red just above the black here. Just got to adjust the pace of the cue ball after potting the blue.
$14.
Well, I don't think this is the red he's played for. I'm not quite certain what he played for, really. The problem is, you see, from this side of the table, the cue ball, you can't get position on the black because of that red to the right of it. I don't think he's really played for this red, but, well, it's pretty straight. Easy screw back for the blue again.
Peter Ebdon, 14.
It didn't look as if the edge of that second red need have been in the way.
Well, he still can't get on the scoreboard. Shot you expect Stephen to knock in. Well, 99 times out of 100.
1.
So another chance for Peter Ebdon.
Eight.
Unless you're right behind the shot, it's difficult to see whether the shot here is to bring the cue ball through off a second red or try to get through that gap.
Nine.
Yes, he played for that red, but he played to be straighter on it. That's why he had to go up for the blue. And he's got the wrong angle on the blue. And, well, he might just settle for just stunning the blue in and leaving himself a mid-distance red. Well, no, it looks as though he's going to run round off 3 cushions. As long as he misses the yellow, which he has done, it should be pretty good.
14.
So he's on this red. I know it looks as though he's perfect, but to me he's not quite perfect on this red. He'd like to stun it away from the cushion, but he can on the red near the cushion, so just got to be careful with this positional shot if he's going to play for black.
$15.
Well, the red that he's cannoned away from the cushion might be useful later, but he's had to sacrifice just a degree of position. He should still pot the black from there, but it's not as if he was 9 inches behind it.
Yes, the problem was he didn't play to cannon the red near the cushion. He tried
22.
to avoid it. Once he'd cannoned the red, he left him too near the cushion. Okay, as you say, Clive, you expected him to pot the black, but because he didn't have the right potting angle and he didn't want to do a lot with the cue ball, he's now run out of position. And that's how it catches you up. You just make one bad positional shot, which you did on the blue, then he didn't get quite on the red, and now he needs a good shot to keep this going. A shot he might not want to risk taking on, and that's the red into the far right corner.
it's at the wrong angle to take on, because the cue ball would inevitably go into the bunch with no guarantee of position and high risk.
Peter Ebdon, 22.
A good length, and also using the diagonal between the two corner pockets and the blue to try to deny Hendry a shot at the red nearest the right corner. It's now a red that Hendry has got to prevent Ebdon getting a shot at.
First decent safety shot of this final from Stephen. You'll be pleased to see that. That was very well executed. He's got Peter Ebdon in a bit of trouble here. I don't think he can get through to this red to pot it in the right corner. I don't think he can just quite hit enough of it. Tough safety shot if he can't play the pot.
Very well played.
Well, that was a great return, that was. So, one good safety shot from Stephen wasn't enough to force a mistake from Peter. Well, Stephen's taking a pot on here. It's a funny old game, snooker, isn't it? 7 times world champion. Probably the best player that's ever picked up a cue. We're halfway through the second frame and he still can't get a point on the board. It's amazing.
Yes, if it was aggregate score, Ebdon would be leading 134 points to 0.
One.
And this is a big chance for Peter. Big chance to win this frame. And as I always say, I don't think any player, even Stephen Hendry, you don't really settle down until you get that first frame on the scoreboard. This is an excellent chance to lead 2-0 and still keep Stephen Hendry off the table. Obviously, he's got great experience. He's been here before, got the T-shirt, but this is another day and another World Championship final. The others don't count.
Eight.
John Williams being asked to clean the cue ball for the first time in the match. He's refereeing his 11th World Final at the age of 64. I'm pretty sure that Ebdon played to get on the red nearest the right corner. This is his reserve option.
Nine. Yellow ball. Eleven.
If he knocks this red on in and gets nicely on the black. You wouldn't expect another mistake.
12.
And I don't now. So, excellent start for Peter Ebdon.
$19. 20.
This black and one more red is what's required.
$27. 28.
So far, so good then for Ebdon. At a late stage of his semi-final last evening, he admitted
35.
that he couldn't see how he could get through, but suddenly his
36.
focus returned, and with it a fine burst of closing form as he took the last 3 frames, form which he's maintained
43.
in winning the first 2 this afternoon.
44.
Hendry yet to pot a ball.
$51. 52. 59. Yeah, okay.
Now, even with the frame overwhelmingly won, Ebdon wants to pot all the balls. I think that's an aspect of professionalism, an aspect of the way that he wants to stamp his authority on this match. The longer that he can keep Hendry in that
60.
chair, the better.
Yes, and also there's a chance of a century break, which any player likes to make. Capacity audience here, final of the World Championship. Make a century break and the final would be, well, a thrill for anybody. Nudge the red out. They're off to play it in the left
67.
centre, I think. Well, unless it just passes a pink. No, left centre pocket. It's there.
68.
He'd like to be on the pink, but he'll settle for the blue. And we might see that century now. Pot the blue. 73, 27 with the 6 remaining colours. That's exactly 100.
73. 75. 78.
On track for the 61st century of this championship.
$82.
The total clearance of 138, which Ebdon made last night to level the match at 16 all, beat the 1998 record of 59 centuries for the championship.
$83. 93. 100 and a frame.
Appearance of 100. Peter Ebdon has opened his best of 35 frames final with a run of 233 points without reply. He leads by 2 frames to 0. Phil Yates there with the Peter Ebdon statistics. One that he didn't give you is that in their 15 meetings
Peter Ebdon to break.
in major tournaments, Ebdon has beaten Hendry only 3 times. But that's history. This is now. Cannoning the yellow right on the nose with that safety. Whenever that happens, the cue ball remains virtually on the balk line, which is either going to leave a pot or a comparatively easy return safety.
Well, that was a tremendous shot. He played it, I presume, in such a way that the only red he was leaving was the one he was playing, but he controlled the cue ball superbly and perfect on the pink. I'm not certain about the availability of the black in
7.
the left corner pocket. If it goes, this is a great opportunity to build up a nice lead in this 3rd frame. Oh, and there it goes. Clearly goes, doesn't it? So what another opportunity for Peter Ebdon. And he's looking good. He's looking relaxed. He's looking, well, he's always focused. To me, he just looks relaxed and as though he's enjoying every moment of it. And nudging that red away there, that's just a bonus, that
50.
is. Gives him much more room to get on the black. What a start.
16. $23. 24.
Slightly out of position. The reason is because the last red he potted, he should have been straighter on that.
Sure.
So, I wouldn't expect him to miss the black, but he's got a little bit to do with the cue ball now. So it's not just a straightforward pot. He's got to think of where he's going to put the cue ball for the next red. And as I say, it's not straightforward.
At the last roll.
31.
That's what's meant by pocket weight.
Yes, that was slow motion without using a slow motion machine, wasn't it?
He thought, just for a moment, that it might not go in.
Yes, and if anyone's wondering, he wasn't actually jumping up and down because, well, that could have maybe got the referee thinking, is that
32.
why the black dropped? You're not allowed to do that. It went in under its own volition, but boy, it nearly stayed there, didn't it?
but somehow or other went through that tiny gap
39.
between pink and red. It looked a certainty to open more reds to continue the break.
Yes, he's left with this pot, but this is a bit tricky. Here it goes. Where's the cue ball going?
40.
Is he going to finish on a colour? Just on the yellow, I think.
Which, if it's almost straight, is going to require quite a big shot to get on his next red.
Green ball.
Can't get at it, probably.
Peter Ebdon, 40.
Whether he could or not. The snooker behind the green keeps the pressure on Hendry. Trailing 0-2 and 0-40.
Foul and a miss. Peter Ebdon, 4.
Yes, so having it replaced.
Yeah, bit to the left.
Well, Stephen must be wondering what's hit him here. Yeah. He's hardly had a chance of a pot, and maybe a couple which he's missed. This is the third frame. He's still not potted a ball. Comes to the table, 44 points behind now, and still snookered.
Foul and a miss. Peter Ebdon, 4.
We saw the last time that John Williams replaced the cue ball behind the green that Hendry helped him. And in fact, at Hendry's suggestion, the shot was made slightly more difficult than where the referee had placed it. I've only ever heard Hendry's sportsmanship questioned by one person, and that's Ronnie O'Sullivan, just before their semi-final. Not much support for that view. Hendry has always behaved impeccably, in my opinion. Not snookered, for which much thanks.
Poor safety shot this. He'll be lucky if the blue covers the red near the right corner. I think he's been lucky. To cover both reds. Can you imagine where that cue ball has to finish? There's two reds here available into this right corner, and the blue has stopped Peter Ebdon having a go at either of them. Stephen was very fortunate there, but what it was another very loose safety shot.
A good one from Ebdon, but I don't think that Hendry is quite snookered.
Yes, but from what we've seen so far, his safety play is not quite right. Let's see if he can get back to the baulk cushion. Good shot.
Could nudge a red on here.
So, he's left the pot on for Stephen. If this goes in, there'll be a bit of a cheer. This packed audience hasn't seen him pot one yet. At last.
So ends Ebdon's opening salvo of 282 points without reply.
Stephen Hendry 1.
And from that, he laid the snooker.
I'm not certain which red he's going to try and hit here. It didn't look to be the right angle. The blue's in the way of catching one of those two reds. The only thing is, now that he's played it, he's given himself a sighter. So he should now be able to make an adjustment to decide which red, because it isn't straightforward, this. He's trying this way again. He's misjudged it again. It's not a straightforward angle, this.
Foul and a miss. Stephen Hendry 4.
Here we go. Take 3.
This is the way I thought he could have possibly played it. He's going to try and hit this red now, but a different way. Just coming off the top cushion, or the baulk cushion.
Foul and a miss. Stephen Hendry 4.
So he's giving the points away. But I think he'll play it the same way, and I wouldn't expect him to not hit it this time. He allowed too much of an angle. It's really just the pace. He doesn't want to hit it too hard, of course, because he doesn't want to knock it on. He's hit it this time, as he left it safe.
There's no point in Hendry attempting the red beneath the pink to left middle. Because the black won't go to right corner. He's contemplating a safety, but trying to calculate where the second red is going to go. Tried a plant in the end. I thought that was a bit ambitious.
Well, it was, but he concentrated on getting a good cue ball. So I don't think, well, he's certainly left a chance of a pot in the left corner, but being tight under the baulk cushion as Peter is, this is a very difficult shot. And that 35-point lead he's got, if he took it on and missed it, evaporate very quickly.
Terrific pot. Length of the table, from tight on the rail.
Well, just sensational. Because look where the cue ball's finished. I mean, okay, he might have thought he was going to slip past that ready cannon into it. But it was never going to be a shot for nothing.
7.
And in the end, decided, well, it was better to take the chance of the pot and try and play the difficult safety.
8.
43 points in front, pot the pink 49. So he's still going to need 2 more reds and colours after this pink. Well, that was a heavy contact, but fortunately for Peter, it didn't affect the run of the cue ball.
14.
That's the first kick we've had in this final. I'd hope it was the last, but I don't think we're going to be that lucky. But as I say, it didn't affect the run of the ball, so he's still in good position.
$50.
His next red would be the one along the cushion to the right corner.
Once again, inch perfect.
21.
You see it, 56 head, 67 remaining. Pot the red, pot the black, and go 64 in front with only 59 left.
22.
Well, that does surprise me. I thought he'd have just, I mean, why not leave the black along the top cushion? All the reds are safe, there would be no pressure on the black. Obviously, he tried to screw out for the pink. It's a bad choice now.
Or he thought he'd cannon the black and make it easier. But needing only the black, he surely would have rolled it to the left corner, as it was the only ball he needed.
Peter Ebdon, 22.
Attempted the pink, because that too would have left Hendry needing a snooker.
Not a good safety shot from Stephen. That's the frame winner, though.
1.
58 points ahead, only 51 left now.
In these first 3 frames,
Yellow ball.
Ebdon has scarcely missed a pot. He had the frame 1 before that, but it was still a very nicely judged cannon to develop that red.
Peter Ebdon, 3. And the frame.
Hendry concedes. Ebdon leads by 3 frames to 0. Aggregate score 307 to 13.
Well, what a start for Peter Ebdon. And Steve, is this surprising you the way he's going about this, or is it what you expected?
Well, it's certainly not what we expected. I mean, every tournament and every match has got a different storyline, but I don't think anybody could have predicted this. Peter Ebdon has just come out of the trap so quickly. He's hardly missed a ball. He's potted some great balls off the bottom cushion. And in general, I mean, he's just completely frozen Stephen Hendry out of it. It's the ideal start. This next frame, and we'll probably be saying this throughout the whole tournament, out the whole final, this next frame is highly important. If he can get to 4-0 at the interval, Stephen Hendry's not been in it at all.
John, what's your assessment of Stephen Hendry? Just doesn't look quite right, or is it just that Peter's been magnificent?
A little bit of both, actually. Peter's been very, very good. Stephen looks a little bit like he's running on empty at the moment. I hope I'm wrong. It's early in the match, but that was a big thing, beating Ronnie O'Sullivan. I don't know whether it's taken a bit out of him.
Steve, when we say surprised, when asking about being surprised about the way Peter Ebdon's playing, I mean surprised in terms of the way he has attacked this, in terms of his confidence. It's a big occasion, and he's playing with in such a fearless manner.
Well, yes, I suppose, the history of their other match in '96, he wants to put the record straight. I don't think he's frightened anymore. I think he's had that sort of dog's chance, and he's just going to go for it. And it's going to be a very, very fascinating encounter now, today's play, and especially this session.
Talk about getting an opportunity and grasping it. Peter Ebdon has started this final with the first 3 frames.
My first remarks this afternoon were about the opening session of 4 in previous World Finals, and how on occasion the player has got so far away that there's been no way back for his opponent. Again, Hendry rattles the jaw with a long red. Only a fraction between success and failure, but a miss is as good as a mile.
One. Five.
He spent some time in that seat today, as Stephen. Unusual for him.
Six.
Meanwhile, well, there you go. Look at the table time. Stephen Hendry 17%, Peter Ebdon 83%. Incredible. I think Stephen at the interval will be going on the practice table. And there's the total spot.
11.
Points scored now. 3-12 to 13. And the thing I've liked about Peter today is the relaxed manner, and he seems in complete control of the cue ball. At the moment, he's making this table his own. Very impressive.
18.
So far, Hendry has potted only 1 ball this afternoon.
Yes, I was forgetting when we said he got 13 points. 12 of those was in fouls, weren't they? But this can happen at this game. That's what I've always said when you talk about the difficulty of the game. That's another excellent positional shot from Peter Ebdon. If you're a golfer, you hit it in the trees, you go in the trees, chip out and try and recover the situation. This game, you make one mistake and you're like Stephen Hendry.
26.
Greatest player ever lived, and there's nothing he can do about it when he's sat in that chair.
27.
Just nudging the red a fraction away from the black spot.
34. Foul. Peter Ebdon, 34. Stephen Hendry, 4.
I think he believed that he could avoid the cannon, but he actually clipped the black about a quarter ball, and the cue ball ended up in the corner pocket. Nothing easy left, though.
Yes, I don't think Stephen's had anything but long pots to go for. The one he potted was a long distance pot. Strange though, normally you'd see him play this red into the left corner pocket, put the cue ball in between the green and brown, pot the red across for the black. He's now looking at, well, what would you describe as an attacking safety? Thinking about opening the reds. And I think that's what his intention is now. He's going to play this red on the left-hand side of the table and hit it into the main bunch and get the cue ball back to the baulk line. And he's played it absolutely perfect. Good shots. If you did catch a glimpse of Stephen grimacing slightly, it's just that the red has come down to the top cushion and stopped the black going in the left corner.
A long pot at last, and perfectly on the blue.
Yes, that was a good shot. Good pot, an excellent position on the blue. So at last, a chance for Stephen to get his hand on the table and start potting a few balls. But as I say, and that's why he grimaced when he played that safety shot a few shots ago. If that red doesn't come to the top cushion, the black would have been on now, and an excellent chance. But there's a lot of work to do to even think about winning the frame at this visit.
7.
Pink out of it, and the black, and now made even worse by wrong angle on the blue.
Even on such a fast running cloth, it was asking a lot to force round from only just off straight on the blue.
Stephen Hendry, 12.
Intending to develop the black with that safety.
Perfect safety shot from Peter. He's firing on all cylinders.
was a tough safety. Hendry caught it too thin.
Yes, but this red is a lot more difficult than it looks. It is cuttable in the right centre, but no control of the cue ball. If he plays the pot, he'll be trusting to luck where the cue ball finishes. And that's why he turned it down.
Very important safety duel this, the outcome of which could be very influential in deciding whether Hendry trails 3-1 at the mid-session interval or 4-0.
Another poor safety shot from Stephen. Success rate at the moment for Stephen's success rate is about 1 in 10.
Okay.
And that's why it seems that whenever Peter Ebdon comes to the table, there's a pot on. He's asking for trouble at this level.
One.
He'd be a little bit disappointed with the positional side of that shot. He didn't come far enough down for the blue, which was his intended colour.
Green ball.
Decided on green. You still want that red to play for near the left corner. That cue ball needs to slow up though. It's run too far.
4.
Well, if he can cut this red back into the left corner, the cue ball will be whizzing round the table.
Caught another red.
Yes, well, he might settle for that. Because what it has done, it's given him a chance of potting the black. And if he potted this, he'd run into the reds, open them up. If he pots the black, it'd be a frame-winning shot. Well, I thought it might be, but playing at that pace, the cue ball was only always going to run off the reds and come to this end. I thought he'd have played it a little bit slower. The thing is, as long as you don't miss an easy pot when you're in, or any pot when you're in, you've still got the option of playing a good safety. It's not obvious which one he's going to play safe off, but as I say, he's still in. It's his decision.
Peter Ebdon, 12.
Ebdon still hasn't missed a pot of any significance. Trailing 3-0 is Hendry, and 30 points behind in the fourth. Pot success percentages: Ebdon 97, Hendry 62, and a good few of the 38% of unsuccessful pots from Hendry have been difficult ones.
You settle for 97%, wouldn't you, as far as Peter Ebdon's concerned? It's a lonely place for Stephen Hendry at the moment. Peter Ebdon, he just keeps putting him back in that seat. He's probably standing up to stretch his legs. But is that a mistake? Well, there's applause, but I think he may have slipped up there, Peter. Well, maybe not. I thought for a moment Stephen might just be able to get past the green. I think if he could, he'd have played it by now.
No, can't get to the potting angle there. Past the yellow, which is more of a problem than the green, actually.
Yes, well, I'm certain that was Peter Ebdon's idea, to cover that red with yellow or brown, so he played it perfect, as he's done most things this afternoon.
Very close. Played to keep the cue ball tight on the side cushion from that double, in case the red didn't go in. He still left a chance of sorts, though, for Ebdon.
Yes, he didn't really have a safety on there, Stephen. It's not often you see at this level in playing doubles, and it was a risky shot to play, but he's trying to get into this match at the moment. If Peter Ebdon pots this, I fancy this could win the frame.
1.
And if he hadn't have kissed that red, I think certainly. But there's one good shot needed still. It's either the blue or it's the black. But that was a tremendous shot. Never touched the side. I thought he may have favoured the blue, but it's the black he's chosen. Is it wide? It's there. That should be the frame winner.
8. Nine. $16.
46 ahead, 51 remaining, so one red to go 47 ahead with only 43 left. Obviously he'd like to have been better on this red, but Stephen, well, he can see 4-0 staring him in the face. And you can't say he's played bad, Stephen. He's played not very good safety, I think that's the main thing, but he's never really had a good chance in the balls. In it goes.
17.
In fact, Hendry has potted only 5 balls in 4 frames.
$24.
I've never seen Ebdon play a better 4 frames than he has this
25.
afternoon. And if he keeps it up, then he could well be the 2002 champion.
Peter Ebdon, 25, and the frame.
Problems for Hendry. Ebdon leads by 4 frames to 0 at the mid-session interval.
Well, a nerve was hit there with Steve Davis, but now we're back to the real action. And Peter Ebdon comes out to play, trying to improve on what was a fantastic start. Stephen Hendry, running on empty was the feelings of Stephen John as he filled up in the interval.
Frame 5, Peter Ebdon to break.
Is the mid-session interval going to make a difference? I know Stephen Hendry spent most of the time on the practice table simply because he's had very little time on the match table here. I think he only made 2 mistakes. Now we know that Stephen's policy is normally just keep attacking. You've got to get the chance, and if he keeps forcing it, Peter Ebdon will keep punishing him. And this is a risky one straight away here.
Well, that was extremely close. Stephen's expression on his face was almost that he couldn't believe it hadn't gone in. Look at that. He thought that was in. But hasn't done any damage, so just a safety shot coming from Ebdon. And oh, Dennis, you know, we've watched the first 4 frames. Obviously, John Virgo and Clive Everton were commentating, and Stephen Hendry high break 12 in 4 frames. Have you ever seen that before?
He just didn't get a chance. He's never been in amongst the balls. And that's not a good safety shot. That white should have been over behind the yellow and brown. Well, this is not a plant. He looked at them. There's 5 balls in a line, but he's playing safe off them. Surely it's not a 5-ball plant. Wasn't far away. Now this... Not often you see a 5-ball plant. But he's got away slightly with that. I thought Stephen could get past the blue to pot the red, but he can't. So it'll have to just be a safety.
And you mentioned the fact that Hennis, from Duelist there, that Stephen Hendry's not had a chance, and that shows up in his average shot time during the whole match with not Matthew Stevens, of course, Ronnie O'Sullivan. His average shot time was 17 seconds, which is up there with the very fastest of the players. As you can see, because he's always been kind of in trouble, playing safety shots, not getting a chance, his average shot time is higher than Peter Ebdon's, which is unbelievable, because Peter's one of the slowest players in the game. So that's another example of why Hendry's not been in and around the black spot area, where he scores very heavily and very quickly.
Well, that's the first careless shot that Peter Ebdon has played. He tried an unbelievable shot there.
One.
And he could pay the penalty for attempting this. He was swerving around the yellow a little bit to try and make that plant. And that might just turn things around. This is the first chance that Stephen Hendry's had, and they're sitting pretty
6.
well.
Yes, there's one thing for certain. His high break of 12,
7.
I believe, is going to disappear here. He could score heavily. He'd want to get his confidence back.
10.
Done with screwing back just a little bit more, but he's okay if he cannons the middle of the 3 reds there. So it might not be as
18.
straightforward now. Didn't get the cannon as he intended, and that's very, very tight. And if that one doesn't go, he's out of position here. Yeah, he played the cannon there, but he wanted to hit that full ball rather than half ball. Well, he's looked long and hard at this red. There can only be half a pocket there.
90.
He's okay.
Yes, couldn't see the right-hand jaw, but there you can clearly see it was
26.
going off the left-hand jaw. He's not played this shot too well. He's going to have to force this white out.
27.
He's still not got the cue ball under control at the moment. Immediately, Stephen Hendry's shot time has come down because obviously he's played this last few shots very, very
35.
quickly. He's now down to 25 seconds a shot average, which shows you when he gets in the balls, he plays very, very quickly. This is his first scoring chance, as Dennis has already mentioned.
.41.
That match against Ronnie O'Sullivan must have took quite a lot out of Stephen Hendry, but he's the most experienced player that we've had at the Crucible. 9
42.
finals and winning 8 embassy titles. What a record. And in fact, he's won 7 titles, but he's going for his 8th.
48. 49. .56. 57.
So it looks as if the interval has
64.
made a difference.
.65.
It is amazing how that interval can change things around.
Well, I'm sure Stephen will be
71.
breathing a sigh of relief now, the fact that he's definitely got this frame on the board. Peter
72.
Ebdon made a century in the second frame. This looks to be a good chance for Hendry to make a century in frame 5.
.78. 79. 85. 86. 92.
Stephen played for the more difficult of the reds there. And 72 centuries Stephen Hendry has made in his professional career. Quite incredible.
Well, this really is a supreme effort from Stephen Hendry. You know, before this break, he's only potted, I think, 5 balls. It just shows you the kind of form he's in. I know it was 4-0 behind, but an awful long way to go.
115. 120. 126.
He's not too bothered about the black. That was a magnificent effort from Stephen Hendry, one that he really needed. That 126 break has given him his first frame, but he's still 4-1 behind. Well, he really did need to get that frame under his belt, and going to the practice table, I think, has helped that, because he had no table time at all. Peter Ebdon dominated the first session, but now we've got a final on our hands.
Yes, it's been you know, a strange match for Stephen Hendry. He's been in all sorts of predicaments in his career, because he's been there and done it many, many times. But I'm sure he wasn't expecting the barrage from Peter Ebdon in the first 3 or 4 frames, where he literally wasn't presented with a shot. But just like Hendry always does, Dennis, the first real chance he gets, he gets a century. And of course, he's won this World Championship on no less than 7 occasions. And Dennis, who can say that he won't win his own for his 8th time?
Well, there's a few famous names on there. You've got John Parrott, but Stephen Hendry appears quite a few times. Ken Doherty's on there, John Higgins. And we've had 5 different winners in the last 5 years.
We just talked about the centuries, and of course this year we've had a barrage of centuries. We're already well past the record, up to 62 now. And I think in this final I would expect probably another 2 or 3 maybe. So it's going to set hell of a target for the next generation of players coming through to get 65 centuries here at the Crucible.
If he's taking the pot on, it's risky. I didn't think he was going to have a go at that, because he wasn't guaranteed to get any position. And sometimes you never know with Peter. The pink he potted against Matthew Stevens that kept him in this World Championship was one of the best pressure pots I've ever seen. 16-14 behind. And if he didn't pot the pink, he wouldn't have been sat in his chair here this afternoon.
Stephen can see the red down the right-hand side, but the angle he has on that red, and without stunning it, he can't go around the back of the black. So that's why he's jacking up at the back end there to try and get really low on this cue ball. And the only problem with this, these can go all over the place if you miss them.
Well, I know his policy is to keep attacking, but I think that was a bit of a rash shot to take on. He's just knocked in a 126 break. And straight away he's left a good chance for Peter Ebdon.
Yeah, the only problem with those, Dennis, as you rightly say, if you get the shot to nothing, of course you get the cue ball back in baulk. Because he hit it so badly, that's the only reason the cue ball stayed there. And, you know, I'm with you. I think he's got himself back into the match now. Doesn't want to give Ebdon any sort of easy starters.
1.
The way he's played that positional shot, I would presume the pink spot is not available. Yes, it's not. That's the reason it's going up on the brown. We know that the black's in play. There's 3 or 4 loose reds, so good chance for Peter.
Eight.
Yeah, he's just spotted something on the black there, but as you see, he hasn't got a good angle to run round to leave the reds into the right corner. As you can see, they're all blocking each other into this pocket that he's taking the black. The one at the right of the pack's available. And he's going to have to screw back to leave that one.
$15.
It's essential this time he gets some sort of angle on the next black so he can move one of those reds that are just above the black spot to make this break a little bit easier. It's always going to be hard work when the reds are so close to the black.
Now that's
16.
going close to the blue. A bit too close for comfort, I feel. That last red that he took, he couldn't follow through after because the red to the left, the black, was stopping it from potting. So this is quite a thin snick that he's left with here. He's looking at the green. A couple more good shots and he could be back up to those
90.
reds near the black.
Yes, he had to leave himself a slightly more difficult red because the green going back on its own spot, he couldn't just run the green in to be closer to this red.
20.
Well, I'm sure he would have played for the blue there, unless he thought the brown was in the way. So he's going to have a lot of pace with this cue ball to get back onto a red.
Well, he's got a choice of positional shots. I think he could take the yellow, and if he gets in either of the circles or anywhere near them, he'd leave 2 possible reds on. But he's a little bit hampered here with the cueing. Needs to just miss the middle pocket. Well, he's
Peter Ebdon,
Missed everything.
20.
Missed the pot, missed the position.
Well, he can have to consider himself very lucky there. He never got the screw into the cue ball, and because of that, has left Stephen Hendry absolutely nothing. He played exactly where Dennis suggested. He played down that left-hand side of the table, completely mishit it. I'm very fortunate not to have left a pot.
That was almost very good. Another fraction, and he couldn't have seen this red. And just looking at the position here, he might have to take this on. I don't see a straightforward safety shot back down the table. One of those occasions where he might be forced into the pot. He's trying to find an alternate, but there doesn't seem to be one. He doesn't really want to have a go at it, but he might just have to.
Yes, I think if the red wasn't on the cushion directly behind the black spot, he would just roll this in dead weight and just leave the cue ball tight on the cushion to pot the black. But because of that red being where it is, he can't really play it dead slow. So here comes a similar shot to what Hendry was playing, a little bit of power. This could be the same result as Hendry's last attempt.
Well, that's two shots Peter's played, and he's got away with both of them. And missing the yellow, didn't get position. And I'll be delighted with the outcome of this.
That's a little bit careless. He was planning to put the white virtually in the jaws of the green pocket to cover all the reds down that side, but he's left the cue ball woefully short. This could be a tempting deep screw shot for Ebdon. You would expect to get very close to the jaws if you played it, which means the red should stay down this end, but he's looking at a safety shot. Got to be careful he doesn't make contact with the blue on the way back if he's playing this one. Just managed to miss it.
Another tough one Stephen's taking on, but he might be able to avoid the cannon on the reds this time. Well played.
One.
Yeah, nice little twist on the pink would help things. He's got the yellow, but it's not in a position to get up to the red, so that's all touching the pink.
This was a great pot he played, and once again very, very unlucky not to leave anything on, i.e. colour. But playing the shot he's played, I don't think he's going to get any advantage apart from maybe 4 points, because Peter's just going to go directly across the table and try and rest on the red that's near the middle pocket. And of course he can't leave anything on should he miss it. So it's all about pace here.
Foul and a miss. Stephen Hendry 4.
At this stage, you're not too worried about the 4 points you're giving away. Obviously, you don't want to play at a pace to bring the red out into play and leave it potable. You'd expect him to get very close this time.
All right. He was touching it.
Very steady hand of John Williams, who's refereeing his 11th Embassy World Championship. He's nowhere near this time.
Foul and a miss. Stephen Hendry 4.
So it's getting him back into this frame. Okay, he won't do a lot of damage, but he doesn't want to hit the red too hard. He just wants to nestle on it, because if he hits it too hard, he could put it onto the middle pocket.
No. Across here, but right.
I don't think the position of this white is so very important this time, because he's going to play the same shot whatever happens. It's a lot more important to keep giving 4 away than sticking the red on. That's why he's going to play it at the same pace all the time. He's tiptoeing, dancing, reaching. He's doing everything Ebdon here to try and reach, to try and get this. I don't know whether we can see Peter's reaction on this, Dennis. I think he was doing a triple Salco with Pike. I think he was doing that.
Just trying to urge the white on a bit. So that's 3 misses, but because he's snookered on all the reds, he can have as many goes as he wants. The 3 miss and lose the frame rule doesn't apply. And he's short again.
Foul and a miss. Stephen Hendry 4.
What do you think, Willie? What's the odds? Will he hit it this time?
Well, of course, the audience would think, well, why didn't he just hit it harder? But of course, he can't hit it harder to move the red into play. So he doesn't mind giving these 4 points away. But we're getting very close to the record this year in the Crucible. I think 24 is the most that's been given away in fouls. This is now going to be 24, should he not reach here. Well, it's actually going to be 20, so this will be the 5th try. Oh, a hit was made. Good shot. Didn't look like it moved, but the eagle-eyed John Williams said it did.
Well, let's just have a look if we can see it hitting the red.
Well, can you get me a pair of eyes that John Williams have got? Because that didn't look like it hit for me.
Meanwhile, Stephen Hendry missed that pot by a long way. Let's have another look at it. Well, you can make your own mind up.
One. Six.
Well, Stephen had a go at this, but he never got anywhere near the pocket. It's a good shot, though, for Peter to develop the difficult red. He's given himself a chance here.
Yes, I mean, we go back to that snooker now, Dennis, don't we, where the crowd was saying, well, just hit it harder. But of course, you can see with that, the way it developed the red, just one kiss on the wrong side was going to push the red right over the middle pocket. So it was worth giving that 20 points away rather than risking moving the red into open play. And because of that, it's now developed into a chance to get another frame on the board.
And to do that, he would need quite a good positional shot here, because the reds are all covering each other, so he needs some sort of cannon here to develop something.
Twelve.
Well, that shot's okay if he knocks this in, because the three reds just to the left of it, when he takes this red out of the way, it will free the right corner pocket for those. That's why I
Peter
thought
Ebdon,
maybe he
12.
might have just played the cannon previously, but he's been very lucky here. I think the brown's hampering Stephen's queuing. Oh, this is tough, bridging over that brown. Never guaranteed to pot those, because what you tend to do, striking down like that, you put a little bit of unwanted side, and well, I thought he might have just. That was such a tough shot from that position.
Getting on the black is not a great idea here, because the only reds that pot, as Dennis has just mentioned, are all into the same pocket as the black. And now he's going to have to play this with a lot of screw and power to get back out into open play. It was virtually impossible to get onto a red there easily. He'd have loved to have gone up for the blue off that red. Look at the power he played there. All those four reds will pot into the same pocket as he just potted the black, but he's not high enough. He may be able to cut this one back in though. Might even cannon on the brown just to slow the white down. That would be a decent idea. Clever shot, you see. He's just slowed the white down by playing the cannon into the brown.
Peter Ebdon.
Didn't really want to bring it out as he's 23 points in front. It was the only way he could have slowed the white down.
Well, he feels he can make a bit of an angle, but it looked fairly straight, this red. So this is not guaranteed. Yes, it
Stephen
looked
Hendry,
to be
4.
almost straight. He was trying to force an angle. Hasn't done a great deal of damage. It's cost him 4 points, though. Now, Stephen's safety's been a little bit ragged. He's looking straight away to take a... I thought he was going to take a shot to nothing, but he needs to get his safety a little bit better. Such a good tactical and safety player.
Yes, there's been quite a bit of safety in this frame so far. This is now the longest frame of this final. Everything's been under 20 minutes, the first 5 frames, because there's been a break in every frame. This has been a lot more tactical. We're just coming up to 22 minutes. So this is likely to be at least a 30-minute frame, but the safety's been good. Oh, what a kiss this is. When he looks in, it makes a great deal of difference. Stephen Hendry's reaction off the kiss off the brown was just a sight to be seen. This was the reaction of Stephen Hendry here. There's Ebdon apologising. You just have a quick look over at Stephen Hendry. I don't believe it. It's one of those, wasn't it?
Well, he tried to get in behind the yellow, but he's left a chance. It was one of those, do I go behind the yellow or do I try and get on the bulk cushion? He might, well, he's potted 2 reds. I was just wondering if he could get through to the brown, but maybe not. But the one good thing, with the other red falling in there, that's helped Stephen Hendry. The kiss was a bit unlucky to put him out of position, but now that that red's dropped, he can leave the white up the other end. He wouldn't have been able to have played the shot had the red stayed near the middle pocket. So a chance to get in behind the pink here.
Stephen
That
Hendry
looks pretty good. At first glance, not easy to go around the back of the black and just clip off the reds. I think the black's in the way for that escape shot. He normally would go that way, but the black's in the way. That's the reason he's going the other side of the table. How's the pace?
foul and a miss.
Here we go again.
Stephen Hendry 4.
Only this is more difficult to judge, just to nestle on the red.
This was really a great effort, and it's one of those things, you try and hit it a bit harder, you get the angle wrong, you can leave a red on.
I think that's what he's looking for. Don't know about my second line, but somewhere along there would get him. To the reds, is he hard enough this time?
Well, that's very good. Okay, there's a big target to hit the reds, but to play it at a pace, not to leave anything on, was excellent. But it could be in the same place again here. If he misses the kiss on the blue, in between green and yellow, sorry, in between green and blue, and back behind the pink again. Has he missed the blue? Just not hard enough though. Fraction harder would have had him.
I think this bout of safety play has just knocked both players slightly out of the rhythm. Now, a double is on here and he'd be on the brown. It's one of those occasions. It's worth taking the risk of the double. And Peter's left with a similar situation. He can take one of the reds near the pink spot and he'd finish on the brown if he knocks it in, and he would be safe if he doesn't.
The difference in the last two shots is very, very good thinking on Ebdon's behalf. Stephen Hendry, I don't say it was the wrong shot to play the double, but at least play the white in behind the yellow so not to leave your opponent anything. Peter tried to play that pot and snooker at the same time. There is a possibility of the pot for Hendry.
One.
That really was a terrific pot from Stephen Hendry, and he's given himself a chance now.
3.
10 out of 10 for this one.
And this is a frame, Dennis, that Peter Ebdon's been favourite throughout the frame. And these are the kind of frames that could turn things around. Peter Ebdon's always had the upper hand on the safety exchange. He's had 2 or 3 half chances, and this is the first time in this final he's missed a couple of balls.
$11. $12.
So that 24 points in fouls that Peter Ebdon has given away is going to mean that Stephen Hendry won't need quite as many balls to clinch this frame, but having said
19.
that, he's left this a little bit short. He's still okay.
$20.
He's got a bit of a problem here. He's just working out, see, if he would pot the green, he'd be perfect on the yellow, but the brown is then blocking the path for the green, so there's no point in doing that. So he needs the yellow, the green and the brown, and he'll have pulled another frame back.
26. Yeah, 28.
He got a very heavy contact there, but at least it didn't throw the yellow offline.
$31.
Quick look at the scoreboard. He only needs the brown, and it's game on.
$35. $40.
Until this break of 40 and counting, there was no sizable break in the frame, and this is the ideal time to get one, isn't it? At the end, one chance snooker for
46.
Hendry there. Made the break of 46, which is enough for Stephen Hendry to get another one back. He was 4-0 behind, but now 4-2.
And he made a great century break. He's won that one. he's right back in it.
Will Peter Ebdon now be thinking, this is the real Stephen Hendry starting to get into the final? I've got a great start. He's pegged 2 frames back off me now. There's this, they're all crucial frames, I guess, as well, but there's this one just have an extra little bit of importance now.
Well, if you can keep a player with 0 frames, you've got him on the run. Now that Stephen's off the mark, now the match, in effect, starts for both of them.
Back to the commentary team.
Thank you, Ray. No attempt at a pot that time. Far too risky. And a little bit of a problem with that red going up towards the green. We could have one of those frames where red start going up the opposite end of the table.
Foul and a miss. Peter Ebdon 4.
No problem with this shot, really. It's cost him 4, well, unnecessary points. He can hit this a little bit harder and he's still okay. It's going to take a while to sort this out. Surely he's not looking at a plant with, what, 18 inches between the reds? Something like that? Well, this is not easy because he's so close to the first red. And now we could finish up with the re-rack. Now that this red's gone over the pocket, the other red's up by the right of the green. Well, I don't know what Stephen's going to attempt here. He's got to be careful that he doesn't leave that red over the left corner. Well, that's ended the speculation about a possible re-rack. He's covered that, but he's left a slight advantage with Peter being able to hit that red to the right of the green.
He may be attempting a pot here because he's going to get the cue ball in a similar position to what it is now. He needs the red to slow down, so that's why he's hoping to catch the jaws, and he hasn't caught the jaws, you see, and that's what's happened. So he's played that as a shot to nothing, and because he hasn't caught the jaws, look where the red's gone. Chance for Hendry. And I think in some ways this is a bigger frame for Peter Ebdon than it is for Stephen Hendry. When you've led 4-0, you expect to win the session at least 5-3 or 6-2. Hendry now has a chance, of course, of getting out level. So I think this is a big frame for Ebdon.
Well, I'm surprised he went into the reds.
3.
Because he needed to get on the one that was near the left corner pocket. He had quite a few reds in open play. We know that Stephen likes to go into them early, but I'm not sure about that one. Look, there was plenty of loose reds. But he always likes to take that early chance. And I don't know what he attempted there.
Stephen Hendry, 3.
I don't know whether he'd tried to pot it in off the other one, Dennis, but once he'd missed it, how fortunate has he been? And I think, in fairness, it's the first time he has really got away with anything. Peter's now going to have to try and pot this off the cushion. And this is by no means easy. The white can go anywhere after this. Depends on what pace he plays it. Oh, he's okay. Played it well. Probably didn't play the pot, actually. He may have played it exactly like that. This is an aggressive safety shot. Has to miss the kiss on the green. He's probably coming back in behind the black then, thinking, yes, I thought for a minute he was going to try and go up the other end and get the cue ball in the balk area, but if he'd kissed the green, he'd have left it red in the middle pocket. He's not gaining any advantage at all playing this end of the table. Peter's looking at exactly the same space I thought Stephen was going to play the last shot. Just run the cue ball in between green and brown, tight on the cushion. Hendry will be in trouble.
That was a useful little nudge on the green. Got to be very precise. He's got to avoid the pink, he's got to avoid the blue and the 2 reds. Played it well. Similar type shot for Peter Ebdon. Can he be as precise as Stephen Hendry? Not quite. Now, I'm just wondering if he can't put anything into the left corner, if the 2 reds are a possible plant. Because just first glance, all the reds into the left corner seem to be covering each other, and he's got a difficult cue ball. That's a possibility. And Stephen's cue just coming into picture there. He's picking a spot where he'd have to knock the first red, and what you do then is you pick the spot on the cushion where you want to knock that. So what you're doing here is that first red, you're picking a spot on the cushion, and you really ignore the second red. Well played. Very well played. And what a good chance now for Stephen Hendry.
It appears that the pink spot is covered, but that won't worry Stephen Hendry at all. Oh no, it's not. I thought it was the red was on it. So many reds and blacks available, but at the moment black is covered by those reds. So it's still not straightforward yet. He's a couple of shots away from making this a very, very good chance to win the frame.
8.
He's got to get rid of one of those reds either side of the black before this becomes a frame and an opportunity.
14. $15.
Stephen just concentrating on the pink at the moment. Just till he gets
21.
a few more reds out of the way.
$22.
The reason he played for the blue that time, the red just to the left of the pink, was in a bit of an awkward position.
27.
That's where he'd like to put the white if he was playing for the pink, where the red is. Didn't get into that at all, but he's got the green there.
28.
Just got a bit closer to the brown than he intended.
Still not got them in perfect. I know the reds are lovely. I know
32.
everything's fine where you'd think he would score heavily, but until he gets rid of these reds either side of the black, he's got a lot of work to do yet. Looks perfect. He's just manoeuvring around the pink at the moment. Still expect him to win the frame at this visit. It's not as
38.
straightforward as it appears.
39.
But he can win the frame with pinks here before he has to worry about that,
45.
that black, the way they're situated.
$46. Okay. 52. $53.
There's the difference.
59. $60.
So he's looking good here. Just the pink to make absolutely sure. And as we keep saying, it's amazing how the interval can change things around. Peter Ebdon had breaks a 65,
66.
and 100, and a 40. And now after the interval,
67.
Stephen Hendry has had a 126, a 46, 67, and still counting.
Yes, and I think in some ways, Dennis, this has been the best break of the match.
74.
Okay, Ebdon's had 100, Hendry's had a 126, but this has been really workmanlike from Hendry. He's had to work very hard. The reds were spread far and wide, but he had a lot of work to do.
75.
And he came to the stick with some very, very good positional shots.
$82. $83.
just a break-building machine,
90.
Stephen Hendry.
$91.
572 centuries he's had.
96.
This looks like 573.
98. 101.
And that's his 13th century at the Crucible Theatre this year in the Embassy World Championship. 13. Is it going to be lucky for Stephen Hendry?
110.
He's just not bothered about the black
116 in the
again.
frame,
That
Stephen
was
Hendry.
another unbelievable break from Stephen Hendry, a break of 116. He's now just one behind at 4-3.
I think in fairness, Dennis, the match changed on one safety shot. Stephen Hendry played a safety shot perfectly, where we'll let it run now, where he played this shot round the back of the pink and played it to perfection. Now, where the cue ball finished, it's left Peter Ebdon exactly the same shot, Dennis.
Yes, I think we said in commentary that Peter was going to have to play a similar type of shot. And he did try the same shot that Stephen played, but that pink was always going to be in the way. And now Peter didn't get the red as thin as he wanted, sort of a half ball contact, and look what happened. But a good plant that Stephen Hendry made to get in.
Yes, we could see where the reds were there. It was a very, very good chance to score heavily. The first plant, as you rightly say, was a difficult plant. He just rolled it in absolutely dead weight, and from that went on to make the break of 116. You know, the plant wasn't an easy shot, Dennis, was it? Because there was a little bit of space between them. He was having to play one red onto another and play it virtually to hit quarter ball on the second red.
Yes, in fact, we can show you that plant. The white's close to the cushion. Very difficult to judge, but it was a frame winner.
Well, I thought it was a more important frame for Ebdon. He's now lost it, and I think this is now massive. If Hendry gets out of this session 4-4, he'll be absolutely floating on air. Peter Ebdon will be very disappointed. You can't believe the contrast in the two sessions. Hendry hardly potted a ball in the first four. Peter Ebdon's only got 44 points in the last three frames. Big frame for the last of the session.
There's the shot time, the average shot time. Stephen Hendry was up at 27 seconds at one stage. He's back to 19. Peter Ebdon's played quite a good shot there. I don't know if Stephen can see enough of this red. Well, he can't see anything else. It's the only red he can see. Is he going to try and drop it in? That's what he's thinking about. If there's no easy safety shot, he'll have a go. Could quite easily come off the side cushion and nestle into the reds, but we know he likes to attack.
One.
Top drawer. What a great shot.
Yes, the beauty, Dennis, wasn't it? The fact that he had to swerve it round the brown. It wasn't. He couldn't pot it plain ball. He had to swing it round the brown with side, and we can actually see the white actually bend. There you see it hitting it full ball. Now the side's suddenly taken there, flick the red over. Brilliant.
8. Nine. $14. $15. Yeah.
Got a slight bad contact here as he's running through the red. You saw the red jump, but it's one of those kicks that didn't really make a lot of difference to the position. It would have meant that the cue ball was ending another 2 inches further forward, and it's still the half ball black, so there's no problem with that kick. The black might be touching this red, so I don't know whether it's going to go on its own spot. It will certainly have to go as near its own spot as possible without touching, which surprises me that he hasn't played for that red if it's not going to be touching.
22. $23.
Yes, he might be able to develop that red, because that red is not potable at the moment. It will be after this shot. And he's looking good
30.
again, Stephen Hendry.
31.
Showing his mental strengths also. He's up against a player who is one of the strongest mentally in the game. But Stephen Hendry lost the first 4 frames, even on the practice table. He's come back out and he's taken control of this session.
Yes, Peter Ebdon controlled the first session. He was something like 250 odd points without reply before Hendry had potted a ball. If Hendry goes on to win this frame,
39.
Hendry scored more points in these 4 frames than Peter did in his 4. It's an amazing stat, that. 2 absolutely identical sessions, one dominated by Ebdon. This one appears to be going to be dominated by Hendry, but that's unfortunate. Played that very well. He really hit that good.
46.
You watch the white here, it goes into the pack and then it goes again. There's the first spin and then again it's pushed through. That's tremendous amount of spin he's put on that ball. He's unlucky not to have an easier shot than this. You can see his face, he knew he'd hit that well.
Stephen Hendry, 46.
Just a bit too close to that red. He wasn't too far away. Just awkward striking there. It was always worth the risk because he wasn't going to leave anything easy. I don't know if Peter can get to the potting angle of one of these reds to the left middle pocket. I don't think so, otherwise he would have already been having a go at it. Where's the brown going?
Foul.
That is so unlucky.
Stephen Hendry, 4.
But first glance, there's a red that would go into the middle pocket. So it means that Stephen, now this is interesting, Stephen is putting him in again. So it's as if Stephen's saying to him, there's a red that'll pot into the middle pocket. Do you want to have a risk at it? The left of the 5 reds is on, but what a risky shot. He'd be better off trying to get back behind the black. But we all know that Peter Ebdon takes some unbelievable shots on, but back behind the black I think would be better here.
If this was dead straight, Dennis, I think he would have a go at it, because he could stop the white dead and leave it so he's on the half ball black and not leave anything on, but he's got a slight angle that's not straight, which means he'd kiss into the red. He's looking for an alternative.
Didn't get the white back behind the black, and he's left that one for the middle pocket.
One.
And not often you get a reaction like that from Peter Ebdon. Just a little shake of the head and a little smile. He doesn't usually react in that way. He's so focused, this fella. And I think he's feeling that he might come out of this session all square. Maybe not.
Stephen Hendry won.
Well, he put the extension on the cue. He stretched. What a bad mistake.
One. Yeah. 5.
He's so good with the rest, Stephen, but he really stretched with the extension on the cue, and that could be costly.
Six. $11.
Really is taking a deep breath now, Peter Ebdon. He must have thought a few moments ago, when Hendry was at the table, 50 points in front, he must have thought, well, I've done all the hard work and I'm going to be coming out 4-4.
12.
Oh dear. Yeah, little breathe a sigh of relief there. This is a chance to get right back into it, but he nearly missed this one. You can see the next 3 reds and 3 colours, but the 2 reds in the ball carrier are going to cause very big problems.
$18. 90. $25.
Hendry never made a break over 30 in the first 4 frames. Should Ebdon pot red and colour, it'll be his first break over 30 in the next 4 frames. Just shows
26.
you how each player has dominated each session.
$33.
Peter's already glancing up at the 2 reds that are going to be his problem balls.
34.
Just too far on the blue. He would like to have been able to have got the white somewhere near the circle to leave the right of the reds potable into the pocket where the green's situated. He can't do that from the blue now. The only other shot I can see on is he could take the yellow and try and disturb the reds. A big shot this. Where's the white? Well, this red is still potable.
36.
We all know what this man's capable of against Matthew Stevens. Some of the clearances he was coming with last night was quite remarkable.
Red, yeah, okay.
It's very unlucky, having played the yellow, not to have knocked a red on there. He's unlucky not to bring both reds into play. He just missed the first red. Watch this, he misses the first red by a fraction and somehow managed to hit the right-hand side of the other red, so it's actually arced round the first red. Very unfortunate. This is horrible, this red.
Peter Ebdon, 36.
Excellent break of 36, and the red he missed was probably about a 2 in 10 shot, so he wasn't feeling confident, and you know, he'd have got that about 2 in 10. But not left anything easy.
What a pot with the rest this was. And that yellow he missed earlier was much easier than this, and he put his extension on and stretched for it. That's why I was surprised. He's such a good rest player. Now, is he going to drop in behind this red or try and move it when he pots the green? He can't make his mind up. That's what he's thinking about. Do I try and move it, or do I just drop in behind it? He's on the red, but
4.
not quite as he intended. And he's only 19 in front. That was all he could do.
5.
Now he's got to get what he could do with a big colour safe. But first glance, it's not that easy to knock pink or black safe and get a good safety or a chance of a snooker, so that's why he's taking the green. Just push it safe.
Stephen Hendry, 5.
Well, in fact, there was no point in pushing the green safe. Just looking at the score, he's 20 in front. So he needs yellow and green. Where's that cue ball going? Where's the cue ball?
Foul.
That
Stephen
is
Hendry,
the end
4.
of this frame.
Very unlucky though, Dennis, wasn't he? He played the shot to play a snooker.
It's been a fascinating session of snooker. We could have 3 more fascinating sessions. In fact, Peter Ebdon has decided to concede. He dominated the first 4 frames, but Stephen Hendry dominated the second 4. We're all square, 4 frames each.